So 7 aid workers, including 3 British nationals, were killed from a targeted attack by the IDF. These aid workers were from a relief group called World Central Kitchen, and they were giving food and supplies to desperate Palestinians. This has made some who otherwise have been pretty poor on Israel-Palestine take notice, and they're appalled. The government had called for Israel to investigate. Of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with Israel investigating themselves, an absolutely pointless exercise. Now, Israel has come out and admitted it was them, and I'm pretty surprised that they didn't blame Hamas, but maybe this one was too much of a stretch. Now, Netanyahu responded by saying, "Unfortunately, there was a tragic accident in the last 24 hours in which our forces unintentionally hit innocent people in the Gaza Strip. It happens in wartime. We will do everything we can to ensure this isn't repeated. It's war. It's war. This happens. This happens. Sorry." Now, there's also a statement from the IDF.
Last night, an incident took place in Gaza that resulted in the tragic death of World Central Kitchen employees as they fulfilled their vital mission of bringing food to people in need. As a professional military committed to international law, we are committed to examining our operations thoroughly and transparently. I just spoke to WCK founder, Chef Jose Anders, and expressed the deepest condolences of Israel Defense Forces to the families and the entire World Central Kitchen family. We also express sincere sorrow to our allied nations who have been doing and continue to do so much to assist those in need.
So Israel has admitted it was them, but they say, oh, it was an accident. Now, those of us who know how Israel and the IDF operate, we know it was deliberate, and we don't need an investigation to prove it. However, it happens there was an investigation by Al Jazeera, and they have come to the conclusion that it was in fact deliberate. An investigation by Al Jazeera's Sanad verification agency has found that the Israeli army attacks that killed 7 people in a World Central Kitchen aid convoy were intentional. Based on the research on open source information, witness testimonies, and images from the site, a chronological and geographical timeline of the events was constructed. Images taken from the bombing sites show that the vehicles were clearly marked on their roofs and windshields as belonging to WCK, indicating that they were in compliance and there had been prior coordination between WCK and the Israeli army about the movements. WCK said its team was travelling in a deconflicted area at the time. So we have a scenario where WCK had communications with the IDF knew their whereabouts, and they were in a deconflicted area at the time of bombing. How can you come to any other conclusion other than it was intentional? Now, Israel has a track record of targeting aid and supplies. They are committing a genocide against the Palestinians. And of course, part of that strategy is ethnic cleansing and starvation. Why only deploy one tactic to eradicate an entire community? Why not try multiple avenues, one being where aid doesn't make it to them? It's also not the first time the IDF has bombed relief workers despite having prior communications with them. You may remember there was a 6-year-old girl who was trapped and health workers planned to save her. Now, these health workers had direct communication with the IDF, sought permission to go into the area, which they said, you can go in, and they went to save the little girl, and as soon as they went in there, the IDF struck them and they all died. So this is entirely within precedent for them to do this. The IDF simply hate Palestinians. Now, what you can see on screen is the map of the area showing where the strikes took place. The 3 dots are the WCK cars that were hit. Each one was hit straight after the other. The vehicles were marked. So how can this be unintentional? Now, some spokespeople from Israel claimed, oh, it was a misidentification. So what, are they saying that the vehicles with WCK on the roofs were Hamas? Or are they saying that they thought that Hamas hijacked those vehicles, which is why they bombed them? Well, if that's the case, where's the evidence? Why would they think this? It makes no sense. The only thing that does make sense is that they targeted those vehicles to stop aid getting to the Palestinians. Now, I find the following really interesting from Haaretz. Israeli army sources. Gaza aid workers killed because IDF officers on the ground do what they want. The IDF and Defense Ministry claims that the aid workers' killing resulted from poor coordination. Israeli army sources later refuted their claims, saying the incident had no connection to coordination and was caused by the fact that every commander sets the rules for himself. So there are 2 scenarios here. One, Israel and the IDF deliberately engage in war crimes, target innocents, and in this case, aid workers. Or 2, it doesn't come from the top, but there is a lack of discipline and the IDF do as they please. That doesn't make them look any better, by the way, but I have a few things to say about this. If that's the case, that those aid workers were killed due to the IDF acting as they please, then you can't come out and say, oh, it was an accident, can you? So either the IDF always take orders from the top, and this was poor communication and misidentification, or it was deliberate at the hands of rogue soldiers. It doesn't really add up, does it? Now, I can believe that both scenarios where, 1, all the awful stuff that the IDF has done comes from the top, and it's a systematic murder of innocent Palestinians. But I can also believe the other scenario where the IDF soldiers just do as they please, and the murders are done at the hands of an army with zero discipline. We have seen footage of their behaviour, whether that's going through Palestinian women's drawers and parading their underwear around, whether that's shooting and killing Palestinian children, or whether it's bullying people on the streets. We have seen it for ourselves. But then that tells you, well, they're getting away with it, and then there must be a culture of disgusting behaviour which goes unchecked. Now, for me, I think both happen. The war crimes systematically come from the top, and that's how the IDF have this culture of doing as they please, because it doesn't break with the main goal of what Israel is trying to achieve, and that is to see an end to the Palestinian people. But what's so disgraceful is how weak our politicians are on this. Now, of course, all life is equal, but given our government, I would have thought that Israel killing British nationals would have been a breaking point. The role of the government is to protect our own, and yet a foreign state, I think, has straight up murdered them. But the government and the Labour Party still support arms being sold to them. Even if you believe that what Israel did was an accident, surely you would still be in favour of an arms embargo on a country that may have used weapons we supplied to kill our own. But we are so pathetically wedded to Israel that we overlook this, and it's absolutely disgusting. We ask, where is the limit for our government? Well, we're quickly finding out there isn't one.